Hey guys.
Hey, I think is it just me?
There's a Farha on the line as well.
Yeah, I like your headphones. Very cool.
Can you hear me a lot better? Is this
Yeah,
better than last time? Okay,
yeah.
already doing better than last time.
We have we just had a storm run through, so I wasn't sure I was going to have electricity.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gone now. The sun's out. It's not getting dark around here in St. Louis until like 8 o'clock now. So in another
Crazy.
month,
I love that.
yeah. I don't know about you're in California, right?
So I'm in Vancouver, up in British Columbia,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
West Coast.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're on Pacific time.
that's right.
All right. So, in your up there in Vancouver in the summertime, is it daylight until 9 p.m. like it is down here?
Yeah, it's not quite there yet, but in the middle of the summer, it gets to that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. We're working. We're heading in that direction, but I think uh, right now I think it's about 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere in between there. The sun's starting to go down pretty good.
What's the weather like in St. Louis?
We we're kind of in spring, so it's we're looking at 50s and 60s, and it kind of jumps around a little bit. But like Tuesday, we're going to have snow,
Wow. Okay.
but it's not going to be below freezing, so it's not going to stick. You know,
Hmm.
I think 35 is our low, and that's in the middle of the night or something like that. So,
Right.
so we're fine.
Nice. Yeah, it snowed here like 2 weeks ago, and then it's been fairly good ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Oh, God, I just lost the question. Last week when you were talking about when you turn in your projects, I guess you were wanting, or you wanted to use them. You wanted them to have a certain aesthetic, like to look good and stuff. So you had something to show, like a potential future employer, right?
Yeah, that was my recommendation for you guys.
Yeah, but I guess I'm curious, is this something that you get a grade on, or is it just as long as you have all of those elements that they require and you turn it in? I mean, as far as the content is concerned, as long as it kind of has those elements, then it's either a pass or a fail or something like that. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it works on a pass fail system,
Okay.
and but you get comments though. So
Yeah.
I don't actually mark the projects. There's a separate team that marks the projects, and so when you get it back, you'll get some commentary about, oh, like this is really good, or maybe think about improving this part,
Yeah.
as well as the pass fail.
So when you were talking about make it look pretty or something like that, that was just so you could feel good about presenting it to a future employer, say
Yeah,
for
yeah,
oh, okay, cool.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want you to get too deep into anything and too deep into the weeds, and then you have to repeat everything once everybody gets here.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Hey,
Yeah,
Farah.
my company paid for this, so I just get to learn as much.
Lucky you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. They bought me a laptop too. I needed one. I was due.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did I hear you, Farha?
Yeah, hi.
Oh, cool.
How's it
Sorry, I
going?
was not near my laptop, so.
Oh,
No
okay.
worries. No worries.
Are we the only ones, or?
It's just us three. It's a party of three right now.
Oh, cool.
Maybe just like a quick temperature check, like Farha. And so, sorry, is it? What's your name? It's different from what I see.
I'm
It's
sorry. I'm
Sean.
logged on. I have like 4 Gmail, and this particular one is
I
logged.
will know it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sean. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sean the Vape King. Okay.
Yeah. So it's German. The name you're going to see is German for learn without fear. Yeah.
Interesting. I worked out of Germany for 6 months, like a while back. In
Oh, yeah.
Hertz. it's at the Adidas headquarters in Germany, and it's like
Cool.
a half hour outside of Nuremberg in in Bavaria.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was up in Hessen for 2 years, and real close to Frankfurt.
Oh yeah. Do you speak German?
Ich spreche kleine Deutsch, you know. I mean,
Good now.
I married a German woman over there, and I spoke quite a bit better when we were married. But once she went back to Germany, I kind of I have a German brother-in-law or whatever, and we go back and forth sometimes. But I wouldn't say I speak fluent German.
Gotcha.
It's a cool country, though.
No, for sure. I loved it.
Yeah.
I want to go back. So Sean and Farhad, like just temperature check, like how are things going so far?
Go ahead, Far.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like I've gone through the course material and stuff. I mean, for the week, and I've just started on my project. And yeah, I mean, the material was pretty good, so not too many questions, but I did have like a few issues with the empathy maps that
Right.
I don't know if I can ask you right now or
yeah, for sure. I think we'll touch upon that at the end.
Okay.
And you, Sean, you're doing okay so far? You getting through it?
Yeah, the only I mean, I just got past the KPI. Let me look here. I got another screen up. I'm in step 2 now. Wait a minute, the value proposition. I already did the value proposition. The interview, I'm wondering, I had a question about that. Do these have to be real people that have to actually go to the real site and really download the ebook? Because I could probably get a couple of people to agree to do that, but the people I would ask, they're kind of spam paranoid, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I guess the answer to that one really quick is ideally they would be real people. I think the more important thing is they're people who are in the sort of the target demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they don't necessarily have to have been to the Udacity website. It's just if their psychographics, their behavior, their motivations sort of line up to what you think is the target demographic, that's the main point of it for you to be asking those questions and getting experience talking to an actual customer.
Yeah, gotcha.
I have a question related to that.
Yeah.
Again, about the interviews, like I have interviewed like 4 or 5 people.
Nice.
And they're all from different walks of life. I mean, like some of them are employed, some of them are not. So how do I like create the empathy map? Because from the example that you guys have in the course, it's more like about just a person like going through transition. So do I focus like that on my target segment, like really, like a really concentrated segment, or do I just speak broadly on the?
So that's a good question. And so when you think about a target segment, there's different ways to splice the market into a segment, right? Age could be just an obvious one, gender, but you can have a target segment that has a really wide age range that covers lots of people, different aspects of life. If what you're segmenting on, if like that whole segment has one thing in common or 2 things in common, that make them different from the rest of the market. So there could be people who range from age 20 to 45, but their motivations are the same, and that's how you splice them. That's how you splice that target segment. Does that kind of make sense? So what you're segmenting on is not necessarily demographics. It would be more psychographics.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, Farhad, does that sort of make a bit of sense? Maybe you lost her.
Yeah. Maybe her mic. Did you hit your mute, Farhad? You can type in the chat if we're not hearing you.
And
listen to me trying to give technical.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can't hear anything from you, Farah, but definitely. Oh, she left.
Oh yeah, she dropped. There she is.
Hey, Farah, are you there?
Yeah, I think I got cut off like just for a minute there.
Sorry, I didn't hear it, so I did a little bit of an explanation on the target segments. Did you have any more? Was that clear?
Yeah, it was clear.
Okay.
Another question is like if I get to speak to a few more people during, I mean, the next few weeks, how do I incorporate that information in the first project? Because I know that the first project is kind of the basis of all the rest of the projects. Can I go back and make changes to the first project after I've submitted it, or is it like
you definitely can. So once you submit the project, it's either you pass or you fail that project. But you can definitely go back and edit that that slide deck with the updated information, and then use that updated version to help you in your future projects.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So we've got Farha, 2 Seans, and myself, Felix, here. Hey, other Sean, are you there? Can you hear me? Maybe not. Oh, good. Okay, I'm gonna go and get started. I'm gonna share my screen as well. Just give me 1 second while I do this. Okay. Can you guys see my screen right now? Oh, crap.
Yes.
Yes. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So today we'll just be covering a few key things. One was just really housekeeping, and I really just wanted to know kind of how you guys are doing and if you guys could hear me on this new mic that I have. So it sounds like that's a check. 2 was cover some key concepts from the first module and discuss some real world applications. And so I'm not going to cover everything within the modules. And I think my approach to this, similar if you heard me on the onboarding webinar, is I don't want to be reteaching you guys the modules. That's what the video is for. I want to supplement that with kind of more break off into tangents or kind of explain a little bit how these concepts relate to marketing departments and things that I've seen based on my experience. And then I'll introduce you guys to some more additional resources of things that I really like from a fundamentals and strategy point of view. And then I'll open it up to any questions, course, project, or technical or admin related. Cool. So any questions before I get started?
No.
Nope. Okay. Okay. First off, I feel pretty strongly about this. I think I understand where you guys are all coming from, where you've signed up for this digital marketing nano degree and you really want to get started on the digital side, like you just want to dive into it right away. But I feel really strongly about building up a really good base foundation in terms of marketing fundamentals. The way that kind of like the digital marketing market is in terms of careers and applications are going, there's a lot of people who are just learning kind of the channels and what to do, but they don't have a lot of experience in the fundamentals or the strategy perspective. And I think if you guys spend a bit of time understanding the fundamentals, that really will be able to differentiate you guys from other entry level digital marketers. And as you guys move on, if you guys want to move into more senior roles, those managers, directors, VPs, those people are never the ones actually in the Facebook ad campaign. They're in the weeds actually executing. What's going to allow you to move forward is the fundamental and strategy knowledge. And as well, like the digital marketing landscape is changing so quickly. Facebook and Google are 2 behemoths right now, and it's really important to understand those 2 platforms. But it's always going to change, and it's never going to be this way forever. And so, if you have a good base of fundamentals, it's going to give you staying power in your career. So that's just my spiel for now, and then I'll dive into. So, any questions on that? Maybe I'll just pause there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like you said, the fundamentals of marketing are really important more than the platforms that we work on. But is there like any resource that I can go to just to read more about all these metrics and stuff? Because I
Yeah.
feel like they're really basic, and I feel like I need more examples and more uh, reading materials to kind of really get on, to understand especially the KPIs and the metrics and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I have a slide on that coming up.
Oh, okay.
And then, so that's more about like the fundamentals and strategy, but I'll also touch upon that question as well. Okay. So, hey, just
Okay.
hang tight. It's a good
Okay.
question, though. Cool. So, I'll start off with the digital marketing framework. Um, I would say the videos do a great job of explaining the individual pieces, and I think that's fairly straightforward. Um, but for me, it's always taking a step back and understanding why you're learning this framework in the first place. And the purpose really is to structure. It's a way to structure and visualize your strategy and execution. And so when you are, working in digital marketing departments, working in marketing departments, um, the frameworks and naming conventions will change. Like this is just one way to look at it. I don't know if you guys have heard the term a go-to-market strategy. So that is a variation of this as well. So that's all to say that if you can understand the individual pieces of this framework and understand the purpose, um, then you will be able to understand most of the other frameworks that different companies use. Yeah, so in my company, we use a go-to-market strategy or a go-to-market playbook, which covers a lot of these things. So who we're marketing to, what our product is, what differentiates our product, all the channels that we're using to reach our customer base, and things like that. And so I guess what I want you guys to take away is there's lots of different variations, but they all have the same goal of kind of structuring your strategy and execution. Another thing that I'm not sure if the videos do a great job of explaining is that these frameworks are not static. And so they will change and they will shift over time. And so it's never like you have this framework and we're going to follow it. And this is kind of our Bible. Like it's always changing. Your value prop changes as your competitors change. And so it's always free flowing and shifting. And so I think that's a key point to understand as well. Um, and also to kind of in my own experience, the measure and optimizing part, it seems fairly similar. And maybe I'll just back up. Overall, like these things seem fairly simple, um, but in reality, it's often really hard to implement really simple things, especially if you're in a bigger company. And so, based on my experience, that measure and optimize piece, that's kind of that circle outside of this framework is really challenging, and it's often deprioritized. It's not people don't really focus on it, and it's really challenging, especially if you're doing more integrated marketing activities where you're doing digital and non-digital. Um, so one example is within digital marketing. One of the great things about it is you can get data real time. You can see your results. You can see your performance in real time. If you compare that to a TV campaign, I just had this experience recently where we're gonna run a TV ad campaign, and I'm not gonna be able to see any results for 6 weeks after the campaign is launched, after it's in market. So um, that's just kind of the difference and the kind of how this framework collides with some of the real world limitations of marketing. So I'll pause there. Does anybody have any questions around what I just talked about?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Awesome. So I'll move on into understanding your customers, and a lot of things like similar to the first one. Uh, Understanding your customers in practice is actually very hard to do and is not done very well. One of the reasons for this is just the way that products come to be developed by different companies. If you're in a startup, for example, I think a lot of times you will see a customer need, like a market need, um, and it's easier for you to understand your customers and then build the technology and deliver kind of the solution. When you're at a bigger company and an enterprise, an established company, a lot of times it's you have this technology, whatever solution it is, and you're just trying to find a place where it to fit. You're trying to find a market for it, trying to find an application for it. And in those situations, um, it can be more challenging for you to actually understand your customers because it's less of a priority. Based on my experience, it can also be very expensive to do customer research properly. So, a couple of the ways that our company does it, we use focus groups, we try to do surveys, we can also analyze behavior using digital analytics. But even like the focus groups and surveys, like those can get to like upwards of like 50K just to do like a simple focus group. So, um, it's actually in reality you would think that a lot of companies have a very clear understanding of this, but it is not necessarily the case. um, and especially when you guys think about a customer journey that has different touch points, whether it's digital or non-digital. So if you're taking into account retail stores at all, when you're trying to understand that full journey, it's going to require you to work with different teams internally. And it's going to require you to work with the product team, customer support team, maybe a retail team. And so it's really, really hard to actually do it in practice. Even though the basics of why you would want to do it is pretty simple and pretty clear to everybody. Any questions there? Nope.
No.
Nope. Cool. See if there's anything else I want to say about that. Nope. And I think I don't have a slide on this next one, but there was a part in the first module about marketing channels. And the only comment that I had on that was um, to try to look at marketing channels really agnostically, and not to be biased towards certain channels. Um, a lot of the times, if somebody is in a purely digital role, and they're just focused on digital marketing, um, it's kind of understandable that they would want to use digital marketing tactics for everything. It's kind of like if you have only a hammer, everything looks like a nail to you. So it's kind of that situation. But it help you as a marketer overall to be agnostic, channel agnostic, and to just look at things objectively and not be biased towards certain channels that you may be more experienced in or you prefer. So I think that's the only thing I'll say about the marketing channels. And then I'm going to touch upon the objectives and KPIs next. Cool. So in practice, I think within videos, the marketing objectives are fairly clear. In practice, most of the time, all the time, the marketing objectives are really driven by the business objectives. So your CEO or your VP is gonna have a growth goal, a revenue target, and that's gonna scale, cascade down to the marketing team, we have this revenue target. How many customers or how many leads do we need to generate in order to reach that business objective? And so that's kind of the process of how it works within or an organization, and that's how marketing objectives come to be. One thing to keep in mind is that it's really hard to have multiple marketing objectives or to achieve multiple marketing objectives within one campaign. So I've seen this happen a lot where there would be a campaign planned and there's a ton of different objectives. You want to increase market share, you want to grab new users, you want to increase the usage of current customers, all wrapped within one campaign. And so the reason that's not ideal is because customers can only really understand one message at a time. And so you're not going to be able to, it's going to be really hard for you to achieve different, a campaign with a ton of different objectives. Yeah, so there a comment there?
So I had a question regarding this. Like you said that usually it's the business objective that kind of trickles into the marketing objective. Now that in term when you're not clear about what the business objective is for the year, how do you come up with a marketing objective, as in how do you quantify it?
Do you mind just giving a bit more context into like under which circumstance would you not have a clear business objective?
Like if you are a startup company, for example, and you really are not sure, for an entire year what your objective is going to be, like business objective, like what you're planning to achieve by the end of the year, because you're still like figuring things out. How do you decide that this is going to be the objective, and how do you quantify that? Because you are not clear about how many customers you're going to get, how many people are out there looking for your product. So how do you do that?
Yeah, I can give a real life example of that. Like we're working with a marketing firm at my company, and they asked me, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? So I had to come up with do I want X amount of leads? Do I want this amount of income? Experience this amount of an increase in income. And it was really difficult to answer that question, because without knowing what kind of response we would get, how would we know what looks good and what doesn't look good?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you're not clear about how much data you have in terms of
Yes.
the customer, how do you because marketing is something that you will have to do from the very beginning, because people have to know about your product, but you might not necessarily know the customers that you might have in the future, like for a whole year or something. So how do I quantify that? I mean, even in terms of the project, we don't know what the business objective of Udacity is, but we need to come up with a marketing objective. So it's like the similar case with a startup, I think. So that's my question. Like, how do you quantify a marketing objective for something that is really new? And
should we just make something up and then if we have to adjust the goals after 6 weeks or 6 months, then we can adjust the goals? Like maybe we over goaled it, or maybe we underestimated what kind of response we would get or something. So what do you think? Should we just make something up, make up an arbitrary number and see where data lays or falls?
Sean, I have similar thoughts to you. I think in those situations where it is really vague, you kind of have to put a stake in the ground and say, and I would say it's, depends on how you think about it. Yeah, it's partly kind of made up, but also you have a general idea of what your company needs to do, right? Like whatever startup you want to grow, you want to increase revenue, you want more customers. Like those are all things, objectives of any company. And so the question is, I think what you're asking for is like, how do you quantify that? Like, how do I know, to what number to shoot for? And that comes down to Sean's point, where you just have to kind of put a stake into the ground. And there's different ways to kind of back into that number. So whether it's like, you know what, let's make a goal that we want $100,000 in revenue for this year. What does that mean from like a customer point of view? Okay, that we need this many customers, and then how many people do we need to reach, and then you estimate a conversion rate to get you, so you can kind of back into that number. And like Sean said, if you overshoot it in this phrase, like, and you blow that number out of the park, that's great. You have some data points to work with, and that next target that you have is going to be more. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I have something to add to that. Sorry, my voice is bad. It's gone. It also depends on the business life cycle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So where you are in your business life cycle. Sorry, my voice is really bad, so I'll just stop talking. Sorry.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sean, I know where you're going with this, and just say yes or no if that's easier for you. But like,
Sure.
I wouldn't. The way my business works is it's a slow build. So if I'm looking for a certain amount of revenue, then I need at least 6 months to see if that revenue is going to come to fruition. So my business cycle is probably about 6 months to 1 year of data that I'm going to need to say whether or not I'm successful.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it also, like, even I work in a startup, so sometimes our objective is actually converting 10 leads or pilots to 1 production or 2 production customers. Okay. So it kind of have some objective.
So Udacity's objective might be, I guess, to get 100 new leads a month.
Yeah. So it's 100 new potential customer leads a month, right? So that's an objective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only going to get 3.
It all adds up. It all adds up.
No more, no less. You're getting 3 out of me.
No, it also depends on the campaign, right? In the next set of projects. Sorry, guys. I'll stop.
Oh, that was a really good point, Sean.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool. So was that helpful, Farah?
Yeah.
That was an awesome discussion, actually.
Yeah, very helpful.
Okay. So honestly, that's it for the course concepts and things that I wanted to talk about. I just want to touch upon the resources here. So these are 3 resources that I think are really awesome. I just want to maybe explain it a bit more. So maybe you guys are not all marketing leaders like me, but the marketing management. This is a textbook by Philip Kotler and Kevin Keller. So Philip Kotler is kind of like the father of marketing management. He was a professor at Kellogg, and this is a book that a lot of MBA marketing students read. And so if you're really interested in diving deeper into like the fundamentals and the strategy of marketing, I would recommend you read this. It's like, but I said again, this is a textbook, so it might not appeal to everybody. The second recommendation I have is, so this is a blog, and also the guy who runs this blog has a book as well, and it's called Beloved Brands. And so it sounds a bit cheesy, but I think it's a great resource. It's one of the best I found that's coming from a brand management or consumer packaged goods perspective. And so the guy who runs this, he was like a high level executive at a brand management company. And so he basically wrote a book that's kind of like a handbook or resource for brand managers. And so for brand managers, the fundamentals and all like the marketing strategy is super important to them. So like segmentation, the targeting, the positioning, and if you think about these food companies, like that's all they do really. Like they're selling a commodity ish, and they're really differentiating just purely by their brand. And so even if you're not working within CPG or brand management, I think that's a great resource to look at as well. And the last one is this one's actually a podcast on YouTube. So it's I forget what the podcast actual name is, with a guy called Mark Ritson. And so he's a prof at Melbourne Business School. And he is really big on marketing strategies. So he writes columns. He's a speaker at a ton of events. And so if you're interested in kind of the strategy process, like he's really big on like segmentation, targeting, and positioning as well. So I think that's if you have time just to listen to that podcast as well. So any questions on kind of these three resources? I know you had a question from before, Farha.
Can you post that in the session 881 or whatever, this particular slide?
Yeah, I'm going to send out these slides like I did before, and it's going to have these links to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, excellent. Thanks.
Cool. And Farha, you were asking about, so does this sort of answer your question, or were you looking for resources for diving deeper into some other topics?
No, I basically had, just needed a little more information on the KPIs and metrics.
KPIs and metrics. Right?
Yeah, I felt so. If you had any resources to kind of give us a little more in-depth knowledge about that, because it's a little,
it's really high level, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me see if I can.
Because feel like it's really important, and I have not really gotten a grasp on that yet. So
yeah, two things. I think one is there is. Have you heard of a guy called Avinash Kaushik?
no.
No. I will send you guys. Maybe I'll link his blog. So he, I think, what's his background? I think he worked at Google, and he has had run his own kind of analytics blog for a long time. And so he really started in like web analytics. And so I will share his blog with you guys, but that's one resource. And he also has a book. I have it here.
Hey, just a quick search on YouTube. They have several videos that say KPI made simple.
Yeah. I have to still like Google that. I just thought I'll ask him for if he has anything that he used while being.
Yeah, you see this? So this is Web Analytics 2.0. It's like a thick book. But search up this guy. I don't know if you can see his name.
Yeah.
Avinash Kaushik. So he's got a blog, and that might be a better place to start for you. It's called Occam's Razor.
Thank you.
Hey, also these, just on the surface, looking at these videos, they look like most of them are under, like they're like 2 to 4 minutes long. So you should be able to pick it up real quick just with watching a couple of videos.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I think you'll learn more about like the analytics side in the Google Analytics module, the specific one that's coming later in the course. You could always do like the Google Analytics certification. Like so they have a course Google does, which is all just about Google Analytics. And so that's free. And so if you're looking for more in-depth knowledge, I would take a look at that. There's also a free Google course called Google Digital Garage. And so it covers digital analytics, SEO, a lot of the kind of, it's an intro to a lot of like their Google products. So it's like meant to help you understand their products a bit better. But it's kind of a good fundamental overview as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Google Digital Garage.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I love this, like learning about marketing. So, like we've got like tons of like podcast suggestions and stuff. So yeah, definitely let me know if you guys are more interested in learning resources. I'm your guy.
That explains you being a mentor.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me see. Honestly, guys, I think that was it. The last slide that I had was just a reminder that the due date for the project is on March 26th. I've sent out my Calendly link for a one-on-one mentorship session. I'll probably DM everybody in the group again just to make sure people see it. And I'll hold another webinar at the same time next Sunday. So if this time works for people, I'd like to keep it 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So maybe I'll just open up if you guys have any other remaining questions. Feel free. Project or courses or marketing in general, marketing theory. My thoughts on Game of Thrones, whatever.
I know I'm going to have questions, but I'll put them on the board in the session 881 or whatever that way, or in the actual
project.
Yeah, the actual project number 1. Mm-hmm. I'll put them in there as they come up. So if I don't know if you guys aren't busy or whatever, I appreciate any help you can give me. Just maybe check in once a day or something like that.
Sure.
See if anybody's out there not knowing what they're doing, like somebody like me or something.
I think that's awesome because I think you guys are all going through this together. And as much as my input is valuable to you guys, like it's good to learn from each other.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Cool.
And then is like Slack going okay for you guys? Just want to know you guys are all okay. I'm not the biggest Slack expert. Like I used it a bit before, but it seems to be working for most people right now.
You have to remember to go in. If you don't go in, that's the main thing is remember to go there.
They have a mobile app too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's easier. You'll get the notifications on your phone, so it's easier to see them come up.
Yeah, I'm gonna download it.
If you're in multiple groups, you're gonna get hit by many messages.
That's the problem too.
You can play around with the settings, alerts.
Right, and just mute certain channels and stuff like that. Okay, that's solid.
All right, cool.
Or you can leave some channels if there's a lot of stuff going on. So it all depends on you.
Yeah.
Did you guys use the HubSpot thing?
No.
No, it's the next set of no. Okay. Oh, we read the blog.
The making the persona thing.
Yeah, but if you have to download, you have to register.
Yeah. That's where I got stuck, and all I could do was do like this other thing. They had another tab.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how helpful that was.
Oh, actually, the 20 questions, if you use Enterprise, is useful. Okay. But if you want the actual template, you have to register.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you guys lost me on that.
In one of the materials, there's a link to HubSpot for interview questions.
Oh, gotcha.
So when you go to their link, if you want to download the template, you have to register.
As a business, as a business that needs.
Yeah, you need. Yeah, correct.
Huh.
But there are other articles that you can look at that gives you an outline of those questions. I can send you the link on the project or
Yeah,
881
that'd be
session.
cool. I appreciate that because I'm not quite there yet. So when I get there, if I have a link, then that would be very helpful. Thank you.
No problem. I bookmark everything, so I'll send it. And if you need anything, you can also ping me privately too. So I'll remember.
Okay, cool.
No problem.
Quick question for you guys. When I sent out the Hangouts link, did you guys have to log in to Google? No?
Yeah. I'm already logged in, so I don't know if it's a requirement.
Okay.
I'm already logged in too, so
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I just see that in our chat, Valiant was having troubles 20 minutes ago. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm a Chrome junkie, so I like how I can get on different computers and I have all the same stuff in my browser.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, let me chat with Valiant directly. But if there is no other questions, I'll let you guys go.
All right, cool.
Okay.
And
yeah.
in this video that you recorded, where are you gonna just drop that in?
Yeah, I'll try to drop. So I think it should just be a link, and it'll be on YouTube. And then I'll share that with the 881 session.
All right, awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining me on a Sunday, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good job, Felix. Thanks.
All right,
thanks,
good luck
Felix.
with
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.